All right. Well, welcome once again to Raising the Consciousness of Humanity. Today I have Lisa Lessard, and she's going to be talking to us about the four cornerstones, building a productive and beneficial habitual thought foundation. Well, Lisa, it's happy to have you here with us today.
Thanks so much, Ron. I really appreciate you inviting me.
Well, this is an interesting topic, the four cornerstones and building a productive and beneficial thought foundation. Tell me a little bit about you, like what got you working in this area? And I know you're a cognitive behavior life coach. So give me a little bit of like a quick elevator pitch of how did you get to what you're doing today? And take as long as you want, but just give us a little background information about that.
Okay. Um, I I was working I was working with the Department of Corrections in a prison for adolescent boys. And I had a colleague of mine come in and say, "Oh, I got this real neat stuff, and it's called Rational Emotive Therapy by Albert Ellis." And so our whole cottage, that's how they had everything set up. We all decided, oh, this is really good stuff. Let's do something with it. And so we really grabbed onto it and brought it in as part of our treatment. And so, if you're going to do something like that, you got to do it within yourself also. But at that time, when I was exposed to it, I really knew that this was something that it just really hit home for me. And so it's what I've been honing for the last, 40 some years. And it's changed names. It went from, rational emotive therapy to cognitive behavioral therapy to talk therapy, all the same type of stuff. And so I was just, fortunate enough to be exposed to it and everything. And it is something that has worked very well. It really fits with any clientele. So I have thoroughly enjoyed using it all these years.
Great. Well, tell me who would be you said it fits with anybody, but who is the target audience for this?
Anybody, because we all have a basic thought foundation, whether we realize it or not. We have specific processes and perspectives and beliefs that we each use. And they're fairly, I don't want to say basic, but they're the ones that we use over and over again. And it's what we then base all of our other thoughts on. So we already have this concept. The question is it beneficial and is it productive or is it not? Is it strong enough to hold all the other beliefs that we then build upon it without it being getting shaky and crumbling and things like that? So it's with that awareness that we start to look at things and where they're not working, challenge them and put other ones in that actually do work. So it works with everyone. I've worked with it from 14 years old to an 87-year-old. So it works for everybody because it's already how we're thinking. It's just, is it as productive and beneficial as much as it could be?
And would somebody be able to expect like immediate results? I know like you,
Absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely, because what we're working with is that, neurology, biology, and physiology. With every thought, our brain releases a chemical. With that starts a chemical reaction, and it goes into our biology, so thus creating an emotion. From there, we then go into physiology. Our body reacts, and we speak and we behave. So, because of that whole format, yes, absolutely.
And if somebody's got like you shared about maybe layers of beliefs, right? And
Right.
I know we all have layers of beliefs.
Mhm.
And knowing that and knowing that we've had these beliefs for so long, it must take a while though for somebody to I mean, do they have to continuously do the work, I guess?
Always, because we're creatures of habit. So you're
Okay.
absolutely right. We do have beliefs, and they are very strong because we've been doing them literally millions of times throughout our lifetime. Whatever we do over and over again is our way of life. So now it's becoming aware, we're becoming aware of, is this that we're doing over and over again, this process, these things that we our current cornerstones that we're basing everything on, are they productive and beneficial for us?
Mm.
And with that, then we to create a new habit, the only way that we can create a new habit is through repetition. There is no other way. A tennis player wants to become a good tennis player, they have to do that movement over and over and over again. Same with when we're creating a new thought process. We have to do it over and over and over again. The whole idea with the workshop is that, and just all of it, it's all about implementing. We can just kind of jump in a little bit, okay?
Mhm.
The idea is that most people have as one of their cornerstones that life is personal. Life happens to me, and if I get a raise, if I get a promotion, I did that, and it's all mine. And a lot of times it's coupled together with value and worth.
Mm.
And or if I don't look a certain way, or all the different things, you add the details. Okay, so is that thought process, is it productive and beneficial? Who says that that's better or worse?
Mm.
How does it where are the facts that prove or show that you're a better person because of, or you're less of a person because of, fill in the blank?
Sure.
Okay. And that is personal to you. Reality, it's not personal to you. If it didn't happen to you, it would be the other person that did the work and got the promotion. If it didn't happen to you, it would be the other driver that the car cut off.
Mm.
It is life. So these things just are part of life, not part of us, not as personal to us. Yes, they happen to you, but
Yeah.
it's just part of life. And it's because we add that other element that, oh, it is me and everything. That's where we start to distort. And so we say, and I don't know. I mean, have you ever heard anybody say, "Oh, don't take it personal"?
Sure.
Well, how do we do that?
Yeah.
How do we do that? And so in the workshop, we're going to talk about very specifics. I'll give you one right now. How we start to release that personalness of life is, instead of saying, this is my house, this is my whatever, you change that word to the. This is the house. This
Mm.
is the. Because if it's not this house that you're living in, it's the other house that you're living in, and somebody else is living in it. And so we start to then put it where it really is. It's just a house. It has nothing to do with me. It doesn't say anything about me. But when we make it personal, for somehow or another, up here, we start to, yeah, look at this house that I'm in, or look at this house that I'm in, or,
Sure.
whatever it is. And in reality, it's not. And
Yeah.
so that's one of the things that we practice. And we practice it, once again, for it to become a habit, we have to repeat it over and over again. Then it becomes your way of life.
Now, with that, and I'm glad you shared that as an example, like the house. Okay. So if somebody has, let's say there's a negative belief around something and
Mm-hmm.
they're owning it
Mm-hmm.
and they're feeling less worthy or something that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say it's a positive belief. Let's say they love their house or whatever.
Because
Or
it means something about them.
yeah. So do you still say the house
Yes.
versus how?
Yes.
Okay. Versus my
Because,
house?
yeah, yeah. Because when we place our value and worth on anything external to us,
Yeah.
you're on a roller coaster that you don't have any control over. Because who decides? Who decided that, oh, this house in this neighborhood is better than this house in this neighborhood?
Yeah.
Who decided that, oh, because you're driving a BMW and I'm driving, a beater, you have more value and worth? Who decided that? It changes. It's arbitrary. It changes
Sure.
from moment to moment. So now you're on a roller coaster. It's like, okay, is that beneficial and productive? Is that how you want to live your life? Is that the person that you want to be? And so
You,
now when we separate those,
uh-huh.
we remove that.
So what about the feeling behind just you've got the words and you can change that, but what about the feeling that's going on behind the words?
So when you change the perspective to my value and worth is determined for X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and once again, they're arbitrary, they change all the
Yep.
time. Everybody's got different ones.
Sure.
Okay. Everybody's got different ones. When you change it from that perspective to the perspective of value and worth is a constant, it
Yeah.
doesn't change. The only prerequisite is that you're alive and here today. And it's the same for every single
Sure.
person on the planet. You
Yeah.
got a person who's murdered 40 people. He has the same value and worth as you and I. Now, there's consequences and rewards for
Yeah.
behavior. Absolutely. But we're talking about that intrinsic value and worth that we so desperately at times try to protect, build up, or tear down. Once again, is that beneficial and productive to your life?
Sure.
So change it to the perspective of value and worth is a constant.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. It is a constant. Let me really absorb that. Your brain secretes a different chemical. You start that whole chain reaction, which is then more calming, which is then more securing because everything is here. Instead of, no, no, I don't have the right dress on today. Man, I don't look as good as these other girls do. And they're just so much better than I am. Why am I even here? And okay. So now you've changed it from being involved in the process. You're someplace all dressed up in your dress for a reason, for a process, for an
Sure.
event. So now your focus is no longer on the event. It's all here between you and yourself and about this value and worth. You the issue, the situation is not being addressed, it's not being lived.
Yeah.
So those when we change the whole perspective, and once again, we're doing with the neurology, biology, and physiology, and we start that whole chain reaction. We come up with the first thing that we come up with is of course a different emotion. Okay, so that emotion is then what triggers our words that we speak and the behavior that we are.
Okay.
So does that help?
That helps a lot. Yeah, and I can see that probably this would help a lot with, especially I've heard from a few people, a friend of mine actually, she was just telling me that she's no longer on Facebook. And when I asked her why, she said, because I always felt I was comparing myself to all these other friends that were out there that had things that I didn't have. And it didn't make me feel good. And so I
Right.
decided just to shut it all off. And
That's
I didn't
one way.
realize that. Yeah,
That's one way. But now look at it when you decide that when you really adopt and grab onto and make as one of your cornerstones my value and worth as is everyone else on the planet is a constant.
the
It does
constant.
not go up and down. That's what neurosis is that when we distort that our value and worth is based on how we look, accomplishments, failures, ideas, opinions, all of those things.
Yeah,
And and somehow or another we make a bridge, which is the distortion to our value and worth as a human being, which in reality does not change.
does not change. Yeah.
you know and so that it is not making that bridge. It is consciously challenging ourselves, going, wait a minute, no, I don't go there. No, I don't take things personally. I go past the words and I start to live the life, and I catch myself.
Mm.
I catch myself. I call my own BS, and I'm using BS not like Reverend Teresa always uses it. Belief systems,
Belief
yes, but
system. Yeah.
also normal BS to call it.
Yeah.
And no, I am taking this personally. Okay, now I choose not to. And I
Sure.
understand that. And this is who I choose to be. And this is a life. And so this is, and now I go on. Your brain has just released a whole other chemical. Your
Yeah.
body is feeling a whole other emotion, different words, different behavior. So those are the things of how we continue to create that and make that into a habit and make that into our way of life.
Lisa, you're so absolutely right. Because number one, what you just shared is you said the moment you realize that you were aware of it. And I think awareness is key. If we're aware of our own thought process,
Yes.
then we can do something about it, number one. And obviously, people going to your workshop will learn how to do something about it. But I also like the thing is that we're all the same. We're all
Yeah.
one.
Yes.
And even though we identify with all these other things, and ownership being a big thing, because I mean, we really don't own anything. I haven't found one person that's been able to cross over and take all their stuff with them.
No,
Right? Have you? I mean, it's like,
not a soul.
yeah, but it's like we're playing that Monopoly game where we got to go and buy the railroad and all these other things. It's because it feels important to us, our
Right.
validations in it. But
Right.
but what you shared is, yeah, we're all divinely equal as humans.
Yes.
And when you come to that realization, that really puts you at ease, right?
Yeah, it does. It does because you've taken yourself out of a perspective of, comparing, judging, and rating
Yep.
from a perspective of this is just how we all are. you know the thought process is the same thought process. We just plug in different things. You have a child that says, I need these tennis shoes because everybody's got these tennis shoes and I need to have these tennis shoes, and if I don't have these tennis shoes, I'm not going to be as good as the other kids that have the tennis shoes and everything. There is nothing different with that process than it is with the guy that says, I got the Beamer and I'm better than the guy who's in the junker. Same
Yeah.
process. You
Yeah.
just change the details. So it's so important that we understand the reality also is that we don't use very many processes throughout our lives. It's the
Yeah.
same ones. So when we pay attention and we use and consciously use and actively, check ourselves when we don't, because this is a lifelong process. I've been doing this for over 40 years. And I just had a really interesting situation a couple of days ago in the car with somebody, and luckily, by the time I behaved the way that I was not the person that I wanted to be, not living the life I want to live. The few seconds that I have to pull up to the stoplight with the person there again, I could then be the person that I wanted to be, living the life that I wanted to live.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
but I had to call my own BS. I
Yeah.
had to, it had nothing to do with the other person. 100%. When we take responsibility, and then say, okay, yes, I choose to, this is the person that I want to be. And everything's a package deal. You can make your package any way that you want.
Yeah.
know? We then don't come to the game of life going, I'm feeling a little insecure today. So let me go talk to John because he always gives me nice compliments. And, I'll go sit with Brenda a little bit because she likes me. And so I'm, taking this and taking this compared to, okay, I'm feeling a little insecure today. My stuff,
Yeah.
my security comes from within me. I got my back. I'm
Yeah.
my own best friend. I know who I am. So let me give myself what I need right now. And now
Nice.
let me start my day. Imagine a world of people that we take our responsibility and we come out and we go, okay, now let's interact. Now let's
Sure.
enjoy. Now let's live life.
There's a lot of freedom in it there.
A lot of freedom.
Well,
Yes.
here's a question. How about with fears? Like the fear of public speaking or the fear or like social anxiety. Like there's some
Mhm.
people I know that maybe hold back their talents or they
Mhm.
like maybe it's stage fright.
Mhm.
I know people that like my wife's a musician. I know other people that they have a talent, but they're in their head or their mind thinking or feeling something. Maybe it's not going to go right, or maybe they're going to be judged, or whatever. Does it help with those kind of overcoming those fears as
Yeah,
well?
because if we bring it all back to the basics, to the four that
Uh-huh.
hold us up, they will always be taking something personal at that time.
Okay.
They will all because you have to take it personally if you're comparing, judging, or rating. Because who else do you compare to?
Yeah.
So you're either doing it to yourself and comparing to others, or you're taking others and comparing it to you.
True. Yeah.
So you always you will. So if we start there and change the idea to it's not personal.
Yeah.
Let me sit with myself. Let me talk with myself. Let me get myself to really choose that. And with practice, I mean, I worked with a lot of adolescents and a lot of young people and everybody. And so when we start, they go, yeah, but I'm not feeling it. I go, you fake it till you make it. And they're like,
Yeah.
you're kidding me. I said, well, no, I'm not. How else? Do you think that tennis player, this feels good to them when they start to get that, particularly if they learn something else that wasn't working and was their habit, that this is comfortable? Of course
Mm.
not. You fake it till you make it. You keep on doing it because your brain releases a different chemical that gives you the other emotion that you prefer, that leads to the words and the behavior that the person that you want to be living the life that you want to live. And so now we move ourselves. And then we couple it together with that value, and where if those two really, really go together. So you're right. The person that is holding back their gifts
Uh-huh.
because of fear. We know that we have two major emotions, love and fear. All of everything else comes underneath them. So the fear, it is with fear, we have to be rating, judging, and comparing ourselves.
Hmm.
That's just how, there is no fear without that.
Yeah.
So when we understand that and we take responsibility for that and we choose differently, we then go through the whole process in a whole different way. Thus, we bring ourselves to a different place.
Nice. Yeah, and I can see that getting people out of their head and overthinking a
Mhm.
lot and
Yeah,
getting to a sense of being more calmer and freer, like we said before. But freedom means a lot because when you're freer, you're going to take more positive action as opposed to negative or no action at all. So,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
It's all about the conversation in our head. I say
right?
that there's nothing in life nothing in life is personal.
Yeah,
There is one thing that is personal, the conversation with you and yourself.
that's true. Yeah.
And so that is the only thing that's personal. And, you know, it is all about that conversation in your head. So, when we, so many times it's like, okay, I got it. It's not personal, but I had this and this was going on and da da da. And I go, so the conversation, you're back in the old way.
Yeah,
And it's like, oh yeah. I said, what I'm saying is that you got to cut it dry.
sure.
Love yourself and go, and you turn the other way. And I have clients physically move your body, move yourself, you
Oh,
know,
cool.
and then you just start with it, because otherwise you're rationalizing and judging. I mean, and trying to make sense out of why you're doing this. At this point in time, we don't really care.
Yeah,
We just want to change it to this one because this is the one that we want to be. This is the freeing one. This is the
sure.
one that opens up life for us.
Sure. So you shared move your body. Is that a technique that does
A
help or?
technique, it is, because at times, we get into these loops, and our,
Mm,
our our minds want to make sense. That's why we distort. That's why we do these things. Our minds want to make sense. And so they come out with rationalizations and justifications and everything. But that is in that same old pattern.
okay.
So we don't want to use that pattern. So we
Yeah.
want to move to the new pattern. And so many times moving and okay, now we start again. Life is not personal. This is not personal. Nothing is personal except for my conversation with my head. I get it.
I
And
see.
obviously, I'm putting it together with value and worth. So let me check myself on that. Value and worth is a constant. And you start this whole other chain reaction.
Nice.
And the emotions are immediate. Now, there is ping-ponging too. You ping pong between the two. There is that.
I'm sure everybody does. But
Always.
but when you catch yourself, that thing up that we talked about earlier about awareness, when you catch yourself, it's so much better
Oh, yeah.
than to
Yeah.
let the ping pong game go on and on and on
Yeah.
and on and on
Yeah.
without even being aware.
Right.
So on the so just so the listeners know, we have the workshop that's coming up under the same title, the Four Cornerstones, building a productive and beneficial habitual thought foundation, and that's April 13th at 1 p.m.
Yep.
And it's going to be at the Sarasota Garden Club. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as we wrap up, and I'll put some
Mhm.
information up. But during this, you're going to actually go through these four cornerstones with people.
Yes, we will. We'll briefly go over the one that's currently happening
Yeah,
because you got to figure out where you are before you can decide where you want to go. Okay. So and then we'll move into the four cornerstones and come up with specific things to implement in your life. Yes.
nice. And then the four cornerstones, I didn't write them down or anything. Did you want to share what those were?
Nope, not really.
Keep it a mystery, right? Got to show up for the you got to show up for the workshop.
I like to keep them. I've already given you two. I don't even usually do that.
We're holding back the other two cornerstones.
I am. I am.
No, that's good. That's good. Well, do you have anything else you want to share? Any tips or any things that you would say would be a something somebody could do aside from saying sign up for the workshop?
If you are not liking the conversation in your head, if you are at a situation or at a place in your life that you're not being the person that you want to be, living the life that you want to live. This is really hands-on stuff. I talk about we have the human mind, and then we have the spiritual mind, and we have different minds. This is getting the human mind to work more effectively and more actively and more consciously so that you are aware of what you are thinking and you decide and you choose. And so those things will bring you, once again, you do something different, you end up in a different place.
Nice. Well, once again, it's the four cornerstones building a productive and beneficial habitual thought foundation. It's in part with the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast being held at the Sarasota Garden Club on April 13th at 1 p.m. Do do they need to bring notepad, pens?
um
And what would you
they don't.
suggest?
Yeah, I mean, you can if you want to, but I really think that I'm going to do a handout again. I've done this in the past, and I really think I'm going to do a handout of everything that we go over. I'm going to give it to everybody at the end of the class or at the end of the workshop.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Lisa Lessard, cognitive behavior life coach. Again, we're looking forward to this workshop, Lisa. And for the audience, just mark your calendars if you can. We're going to share some information about a meetup that you can go to where you can sign up for this. It's also going to be coming out in the newsletter. If you're getting the newsletter for the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast, then you're going to get that information coming up a week or so before the event.
Yeah.
However, if you don't get the newsletter, I would strongly suggest going to cslculturalcoast.org, which is the website, and then you can sign up for the website, the email, and you'll get all sorts of information. It comes out every week about activities as well as our regular Sunday program. But you definitely don't want to miss this program, the Four Cornerstones, Building a Productive and Beneficial Habitual Thought Foundation with Lisa Lessard. Lisa, thank you so much today. You shared a lot, And I'm excited. I think this is going to be a super, super good workshop coming up.
Thanks so much, Ron. It's definitely something that I thoroughly enjoy sharing. So thanks so much.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa.